Hello and welcome to the USA Breaking News on Saturday, July 2026. Algeria has elected its first ever female Speaker of Parliament, marking a historic milestone in the country's political history. Dr. Karida Bufede's appointment makes her one of the four highest ranking leader in the North African nation. Bufedesh, a medical doctor representing the capital city of Algiers in Parliament, is a senior member of the National Liberation Front, FRN, the party that played a leading role in the Algeria struggle for independence. Her election follows the parliamentary polls held earlier this month, in which the FLN secured the largest share of seats, winning 91 of the 407 seats in the National People's Assembly. Before joining Parliament, Bufeder served in local government and is also member of the FLN Central Committee. Despite historic elections, women representation in Algeria's parliament remain low. The newly elected legislature has only 25 women lawmakers, accounting for just 6% of all parliamentary seats. The previous parliament had 38 women members, while the legislature elected in 2017 included 118 women, following the implementation of gender quota system that served a minimum number of seats for women. Bufede's election is being viewed a significant step for women's political leadership in Algeria, even as a challenge to improving female representation in the country's legislative institution remains. Washington, D.C., the American Red Cross has issued the LAL emergency warning over several nationwide blood shortage, marking only the second time in the organization's 115 years history that blood supplies have fallen to such critical low level. The humanitarian organization said blood inventories have dropped dramatically due to the combination of extreme heat and widespread wildfires affecting multiple parts of the United States. Dr. Courtney Lawrence of the American Red Cross revealed that available blood donation declined by nearly 25% over the past month. The shortage comes at a particularly challenging time, as summer typically sees increased demand for blood because of road accident and injuries linked to outdoor activities. The American Red Cross, which supplies nearly 14% of the national blood, said it is currently distributing more than 3,500 additional units of blood each day compared to normal for this time of year, rapidly depleting its reserves. Dr. Lawrence stressed that blood has limited shelf life and cannot be stored indefinitely. Donated blood must be used within 42 days before it expires. Hospitals across the United States are urgent needs of all blood types, with O positive blood especially in high demand. Some hospitals have already expressed concern that the shortage could disrupt routine medical services, with some considering transferring patients requiring specialized treatment to other facilities if blood supplies become insufficient. The Red Cross said the extreme heat has discouraged many potential donors from giving blood, while planned blood drives have also been disrupted by difficulties in securing safe and suitable collection sites. Ongoing wildfires have further reduced the blood donation campaign in several regions. This is the second major blood shortage emergency announced by the American Red Cross. First occurred in January 2022 during the COVID-19 pandemic and a period of several winter storms across the country. The shortage is not limited to United States. In Canada, blood donation have also fallen by nearly 20% since early June, forcing the country's blood agency to rely on existing reserves to continue meeting hospital demands. Kiev, Ukraine, at least 8 people have been killed and more than 20 others injured after Russia launched a massive overnight wave of massive and drone attacks across several regions of Ukraine. According to Ukrainian officials, the strikes comes just hour after Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky warned that Russia has preparing large-scale assault and urged Ukrainians allies to strengthen the country's air defense capabilities. Zelensky said Russia fired more than 17 missiles and launched approximately 218 drones during the overnight attacks. The deadliest strikes occurred in Kyiv, central Ukraine, where a missile hits a residential building, killing 6 people, including 4 adults and 2 girls aged 5 and 12. At least 8 others were injured, with local authorities warned that the death toll could still rise. In eastern Poltava region, one person was killed after drone attacks. Warehouse, meanwhile, in the western city of Lviv, at least 15 people were injured in separate attacks. In the capital, Kiev, city officials reported that one person was killed and 2 others wounded. Kiev Mayor Vitaly said Russia targeted the city with heavy missile strikes, triggering multiple fires across different districts. Vitali urged that the residents to remain inside the bomb shelter while emergency services responded to fires caused by the explosion. President Zelensky said the attack had been planned for several days and called people across Ukraine to stay in safe location as the threats of further strikes remain high. The latest bombardment comes as Russia intensifies its attacks more than 4 years into the war. The United Nations recently reported that June recorded the highest civilian death toll in Ukraine since April 2022, largely due to the Russia's increased missile attacks on cities. At the same time, Ukraine has stepped up retaliatory strikes inside Russia in effort to increase pressure on Moscow to engage the negotiation aimed at ending the conflicts. Washington, D.C., the United States, has announced large-scale military strikes against its targets inside Iran, saying the operations was carried out in response to alleged Iranian missile attacks targeting USA forces stationed in the Middle East. According to the USA military, the strikes were conducted on Wednesday, July 29, 2026, targeting multiple facilities linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC). The operation was described as a retaliation for attacks allegedly launched against USA military bases in Jordan and against vessels operating in the Strait of Hormuz. The USA Central Command CENTCOM said the strikes hit several strategic sites, including IRGC command center, missile and drone facilities, coastal defense installation, and naval capabilities. The military operation began on Wednesday and continued into the early hours of Thursday. USA officials described the attack as a stronger response to what they said was Iran's attempted assault on American forces deployed across North Africa and Middle East. USA President Donald Trump had earlier vowed retaliation, declaring that the United States would respond forcefully to Iran's action. On the Iranian side, the RGC claimed responsibility for launching strikes against USA military bases and command facility in Jordan, described the attacks as a retaliation for what it called American provocations. Iran also said its naval force targeted the 3 oil tankers transiting the Strait of Hormuz, alleging the vessels had failed to comply with the instructions issued by Iranian authorities. The latest escalation comes only days after tension between Washington and Tehran briefly is raising hopes for renewed diplomatic efforts, while President Trump previously said the negotiations were progressing very well. Iranian officials denied that any talks were taking place. The United States and Israel launched a military operations against Iran in February, with President Trump initially saying the conflict would be short-lived. However, the war has now entered its 5th month with no clear sign that hostilities are nearing an end. That's all for now. Thank you for watching.